The Consultant, Episode 1. They called me on a Tuesday. The CEO's assistant. Voice tight with stress. We need someone who can fix things, discreetly. I've heard that before, hundreds of times, across hundreds of years. My name is Niccolo Machiavelli. And yes, that Machiavelli. You probably think I died in 1527. You'd be wrong about that. You're wrong about a lot of things. But we'll get to that. The company was called Apex Solutions. Mid-sized tech firm. 60 million in annual revenue, growing fast, dying faster. The problem wasn't the product. The product was excellent. The problem was what it always is. People. Jonathan Pierce, the CEO, met me in his corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City sprawling below. He thought the view made him powerful. It didn't. Mr. Machiavelli, he said, trying to pronounce it correctly. He failed. They always do. Thank you for coming on such short notice. I smiled. The smile I've perfected over 5 centuries. Warm, trustworthy, completely false. Tell me about your problem, Jonathan. He hesitated. Good. Hesitation means vulnerability. Vulnerability means opportunity. My executive team is fractured. The CFO and COO haven't spoken in 3 months. My head of sales is actively undermining my VP of product. Board meetings are warfare. We're bleeding talent. And we have a major investor review in 8 weeks. And if the review goes poorly, they'll force me out. Install their own CEO. Probably David. David? My COO. He's been positioning himself, building alliances with the board. I can see it happening, but I can't stop it. I leaned back, studied him. Jonathan Pierce was smart enough to know he was losing, not smart enough to know why. You can't stop it, I said, because you're trying to make everyone happy. You want to be loved, Jonathan. That's your problem. His face tightened. I want to be respected. No, you want to be liked. There's a difference. And that difference is why David is winning. I let that sit. Watched him process it. Watched him realize I was right. Can you help me? Yes. But you need to understand something first. I don't make people love you. I make them respect you, fear you even. Because fear, properly applied, is more reliable than love. Love is conditional. Fear is practical. I don't want to be feared. You want to keep your job. So let me ask you, would you rather be a beloved former CEO or a feared current one? Silence. Exactly, I said. Now, tell me about David. I spent the next week studying the company. Not the spreadsheets or strategy decks. Those lie. I studied the people. I watched who ate lunch with whom, who avoided the elevator together, who scheduled meetings back to back to avoid overlap, who checked their phone when certain people talked. The human machine reveals itself in small behaviors. You just have to know how to read them. David Reeves, the COO, was good. I'll give him that. He'd built a coalition, half the executive team, 3 board members, even some of Jonathan's direct reports. He was patient, strategic, waited for Jonathan to make mistakes, then amplified them to the board. Classic Machiavellian tactics. But he wasn't Machiavellian. He'd read the book, maybe even understood it. But I wrote it. We need to remove David, Jonathan said, when I presented my findings. No. What? But you just said, I said David is the problem. I didn't say we remove him. Removing him makes you look threatened, weak. The board will see it as confirmation that you can't handle internal conflict. Then what do? I smiled. We make David remove himself. I explained the plan. It took 30 minutes. Jonathan's face went from confusion to horror to grudging admiration. That's ruthless. No, that's practical. Ruthless would be destroying him publicly. This way, He walks away with his reputation intact. He just walks away. And if it doesn't work, it will work. Because David has a weakness, the same weakness most ambitious people have, which is he thinks everyone is playing his game. He's about to learn they're playing mine. The first move was simple. I had Jonathan promote David, not to CEO, to Chief Strategy Officer. New role, same pay, big title, impressive on paper, and absolutely no operational authority. David saw the trap immediately, but he couldn't refuse. Refusing would show his hand, reveal that he cared more about power than progress. So he smiled, accepted, thanked Jonathan publicly, and began planning his counter-move. I was counting on it. The second move was surgical. I identified David's key allies, the people he'd cultivated, promised things to, built loyalty with. Then I gave them what David had promised, before David could deliver. CFO, who wanted a seat on the acquisition committee. Jonathan created one, put him on it. The board member who wanted more operational oversight. Jonathan scheduled weekly check-ins, made her feel essential. The VP, who wanted a bigger team, approved immediately. David's promises became redundant. His value proposition evaporated. "You're giving away everything," Jonathan said nervously. "No, I'm removing David's leverage. His power came from being the only one offering solutions. Now you're offering them. Better ones, faster ones. But what about trust the process, Jonathan?" He did. He had no choice. The third move was the kill shot. I planted a memo, deliberately, in a shared drive David had access to. It outlined a reorganization plan. David's new role would be elevated to advisory capacity. Corporate speak for, removed from decision-making, but kept around to avoid severance drama. The memo was dated 2 weeks in the future, after the board meeting. David found it within 6 hours. I know because I watched him, watched his face, watched him process the betrayal. Then I watched him make his move. David went to the board, emergency session, claimed Jonathan was planning to sideline him, showed them the memo, demanded intervention. The board was concerned, called Jonathan in. Jonathan, coached by me, was calm, collected. "That memo," he said slowly, "was a draft, a contingency plan I asked our consultant to prepare in case David's strategy role didn't work out. I haven't decided anything, but the fact that David went behind my back to the board instead of coming to me directly, that tells me everything I need to know about his loyalty." The board members shifted, uncomfortable. David tried to recover. "I was trying to protect the company's interests by creating a crisis," Jonathan said. "By undermining the CEO in front of the board. David, I promoted you, gave you a strategic role, and your response is to try to orchestrate my removal." David's face went pale. He realized, too late, he'd been played. The board asked David to step out. Then they asked Jonathan how he wanted to proceed. "I think," Jonathan said carefully, "that David's talents would be better utilized elsewhere. I'll handle his transition personally, amicably, with full severance and a glowing recommendation." The board agreed, relieved. The crisis was over. David resigned 3 days later. Jonathan called me to his office the day after David's departure. He looked different, harder. "It worked," he said. "It always works." "How did you know he'd find the memo?" "Because I know people, and ambitious people can't resist secret information. You give them access, they'll take it. Then they'll act on it, prematurely. Every time." Jonathan nodded slowly. "The memo wasn't real, was it? You were never planning to sideline David." "The memo was completely real. But I wrote it knowing David would force the situation before I had to implement it. He did the work for us. That's strategic. That's the word you're looking for. Jonathan looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time, I saw recognition, understanding, maybe even a little fear. Good. Who are you, Ma? He asked. Really? I stood, buttoned my jacket. I told you. My name is Niccolo Machiavelli. 523 years ago, I wrote a book about power. How to get it, how to keep it, how to use it. That's impossible. So is building a tech company worth $60 million. Yet here we are. I walked to the door, stopped. You wanted to know if I could help you, Jonathan. I did. David is gone. Your board is satisfied. Your executive team is loyal. You have 8 weeks to prepare for your investor review. You'll pass it easily. And what do you want in return? I smiled. I already took it. His face went white. What does that mean? It means you're very good at your job, Jonathan. And now that David is gone, there's no one left to challenge you. No one except the person who made all of this possible. The person who knows exactly how you think, exactly what you fear, exactly what you'll do next. You. Me. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand something. Power isn't about being loved. It's not even about being feared. It's about being necessary. And right now, Jonathan, you need me. Your board knows I fixed your David problem. They'll want me around for the next problem, and the one after that. You planned this from the beginning. I've been planning this since 1513. You're just the latest iteration. I opened the door. I'll send my contract for permanent advisory services. The board will approve it. You'll sign it. And we'll do great work together, Jonathan. As long as you remember one thing. What's that? I'm not your consultant. You're mine. I closed the door behind me, heard the silence, felt the fear. Some things never change. Not in 500 years. Power isn't about control. It's about inevitability. And I am inevitable.